He was asked about the Lions, and so he's, well, he hasn't ruled himself out totally. So what he's saying is that he absolutely wants 12 months out when he finishes up at the end of the World Cup. He was asked specifically about leading the Lions, and he said, "I wouldn't be available if asked at the moment," which is a good line. He said, "I said to my wife that we'll get these 12 months done, and then she said, you'll last 12 days, potentially without needing to do something." So she's a bit sceptical. And the word is Gatland's had informal talks with Lions bosses. He seems to be open to South Africa in 2021. What do you think about Schmidt and the Lions and the lack of lead-in time? Do you think he'd enjoy it, or would it drive him nuts, Matt?
Look, I think you're hearing things there that Joe, to me, looks really tired. I don't think I'm not suggesting he's not 100% dedicated or giving everything he's got to it. I don't mean that at all. But there's a price to pay for everything you do in life, and what he's doing now is incredibly stressful and demanding, and sort of on the lines of what we were talking with Keith about just then. Like, he's just a class person, and I think he loves the game. I know he loves the game, and I don't think he would. One, that's why I don't think he enjoys what Eddie does. He throws the comments in and all that, because I think he would see it as disrespectful to people in the game. And Joe's, you hear him talk about his players there, how respectful he is speaking about the players and how much empathy he has for people with selection. So he want to do a perfect job. He want to do a great job. I think he'd be a fantastic Lions coach because he's a collaborative guy. He can bring people in. He's very, very detailed. I personally think the Lions need a change. Certainly, some of the feedback was coming back from tour. It just needs, every now and then, as wonderful a record as Gaddy has, it probably needs a bit of a change there, and I think he'd be great at it. I just don't know if personally he's ready for that, because there's a whole lot of things we don't know, as we're saying, about his family, and that comes first. He's given a lot. His family have given him a lot to do his job. I know, because I've had the same thing, and you've got to give a bit back at some stage there. Yeah.
Who do you give first refusal to on the Lions, Keith, personally?
I think there's a lot of conversations that happen at the start. It's a long way out, and you're looking for a guy that is available. And I know that sounds kind of wrong because it's such a big deal. But it is a big deal that requires an awful lot of admin that's done, that isn't as intense as some of the other stuff. Of course, there's media and elements of that, but the tour itself is only a number of weeks, 6, 7, 8 weeks tops now. So the intensity is huge, but it's for that period of time. For someone as organised as Joe Schmidt, I think he'd be able to put all that together and not consider that something that impinges too much on his time. I think he'd like to be obsessively over everything, but it isn't over every player every minute of every day. And I think there probably is the window for him in that instance. And it depends what Gatland wants to do. I mean, I read some of the comments about him over the weekend. He's thinking, he'd like to go back to New Zealand and coach a super side, or maybe he'd like to go back into Premiership coaching in the UK, or maybe in France, and maybe he's now talking to the Lions. I think he's doing what a coach who's going to be finished his job in 9 months is supposed to do. He's casting out the net to see what's out there. So I don't know who you go to first. I think it would be really interesting to see how Joe Schmidt his take on the Lions would be. I think Gatland has done very well in the last couple.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, who?
I'd go for Joe Schmidt, of course. Okay. Yeah.